Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Universe podcast. I'm your host, James, and this episode celebrates the 1 year anniversary of the first episode of this podcast. I'm very proud of what I've been able to do with this podcast so far, and I really want it to grow from here. First things first, to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of this podcast, we are doing another giveaway. The giveaway is, again, provided by great friend of the podcast and myself, Josh Hoyt. He is offering a Captain Rex Lego minifigure, and the giveaway is going to run for the next month. And what I need from you is to leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts, wherever you can leave a review. Apple is easiest because it affects the algorithm the most, but wherever you can leave it, leave a 5-star review. Include the word Rex or Captain Rex. Take a screenshot of that and email it to me at starwarsupod@gmail.com. The winner will be announced on either the next podcast or a YouTube video. If you're looking at the YouTube video, hit that subscribe button while you're over there and hit follow on whatever podcatcher you use. It really does help the podcast out. Turning our attention to the celebration of the podcast, I thought it would be really interesting to look back through everything that I've talked about, that I've done in Star Wars in the last year. And I have also put this question out to the listeners on Twitter as well. So if you're on Twitter, give us a follow at Star Wars UPod to see what people have enjoyed doing, what their favourite thing has been in the last year. Now, I'm going to expand on that a little bit myself, just because I have a number of different categories that I record and interact with Star Wars, and then I record and obviously talk about each month. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about my favourite game that I've played over the last year. And for me, as much as I have loved Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, my love for it is waning a little bit at the moment, I think, and I'm really sorry to any of my guildmates that might be listening. I do intend to try and find some love for the game at the moment, but from a lot of people that I follow and talk to on a regular basis, they're starting to feel the same way about the game. It's just losing a little bit of its magic. And I don't want to be negative, but that, for me, is why Galaxy of Heroes is not my number one pick for the games I've played in the last year. For me, it has been Jedi Fallen Order. And I know I've not been great at actually sitting down and playing Jedi Fallen Order, but when I have, which I have done this month as well, that will come up in my full update of what I've been doing the last month. It's been brilliant. It's just an absolutely fantastic game. The story is brilliant. The story is great. And the characters are fantastic. Cal Kestis, Serra Junna, Merrin has probably been my favourite good person character. Obviously, they start out as a little bit of an antagonist. But I love Night Sisters. I've really come to love the Night Sisters so much. It's just a fantastic game. The way you develop and build your way into becoming a Jedi, and it's so good. And off the back of it, I'm really looking forward to listening to the tie-in novel in between Fallen Order and Survivor, and then actually really digging in and getting into Survivor when I can. I don't think I'm that far away from finishing the game at this point in time. We'll come to that later, but I do still need to finish it. I do know the big twist at the end and what happens in terms of story-wise, but I am really looking forward to the journey of how we get Cal Kestis there. And that also comes on the back of recent news that Cal Kestis might be coming into live action soon. So really hope that they keep with Cameron Monaghan, who is an absolutely fantastic actor. For those who are only familiar with him as Cal Kestis, check out the Jerome elements of Gotham. He's just fantastic. He's really good. That was my first introduction to him as an actor, and I have loved him ever since then. I loved Gotham. It was a fantastic show. But I also love Smallville. So I don't know if that says something about the sort of thing I like, but it is what it is. I really enjoyed Gotham for what it was. My next thing, comics. I generally read a lot of comics. I've not been able to for the last month. I have not really had a chance to even stop and think about reading comics, really. But my favourite comic is it's a little bit of a cheat. This one, it's not a single issue. It's an arc, and it's the Kanan arc. I have always enjoyed Kanan, but he was never my favourite character from Rebels. It was always... I love Chopper. I really like Zeb and Sabine as well. And obviously, Thrawn has been my favourite Star Wars character since I first read Heir to the Empire many, many moons ago. But the Kanan arc, that 12-issue arc, is fantastic. That's not to say I haven't enjoyed other things. I've enjoyed pretty much everything I've read, with the exception of some of the arcs within the main Star Wars run set between episodes 4 and 5. Some of those arcs, I pushed through them really towards the end. I just wasn't really enjoying it that much, but it had enough in it to keep me interested. But I'm very much a prequel trilogy person over the original trilogy. It's very much the Star Wars I grew up on, and so I to read that Kanan story, it was so good. It was so good, and I really, really enjoyed the pacing of it. The artwork in it is very, very good as well. And it's just been really, really fun to get to know Kanan a bit more and see him in that environment. Slightly different from kind of like the dad role he plays very much so in Rebels. But yeah, so Kanan 12-issue arc is my big pick for a recommendation. If you haven't read it, I read it on Kindle. It will also be available on Marvel Unlimited as well as in physical media. Apologies if my voice sounds a little bit funny this week. I am fighting a terrible, terrible cold and I've got a really sore throat. Following on from comics, we look at books. I have read a lot of books over the last year. I've really got back into, I say read, listening. I very much listen to audiobooks. I don't, as I say, I don't have time to sit down to read comics, which are really quick and easy. And I definitely don't have time to sit down and read whole novels, which is such a shame because I do love reading, sitting down with a book. But audiobook has been my go-to source of written Star Wars in the last year, and it will continue to do so. It just suits my lifestyle at the moment. But this top pick from me for this year has really come about from what I want this podcast to be, which is a place for recommendations. And this was recommended to me by the fantastic Haley Hobbs, good friend of the podcast. And that book is Rise of the Red Blade, the Inquisitorius novel. It's completely standalone. You need to probably have a little bit of knowledge around Rebels to really sort of pique your interest to pick it up. But it's set very much between episode 2 and it goes all the way up to in the middle of just before Rebels. So about 4 or 5 years BBY. For anyone not familiar with the acronyms of Star Wars, BBY is before the Battle of Yavin, so episode 4, and ABY is after the Battle of Yavin, so anything from the medal ceremony onwards in the timeline that we as a fandom and as an intellectual property very much use the original film as its anchor point. So yeah, BBY, ABY, and yeah, the book is just fantastic. It really documents the fall of a Jedi into becoming a member of the Inquisitorius and the twists and turns and all of the different bits and pieces that go along with that. I don't want to spoil the ending of the book, but it's just fantastic. It's really, really good. There are a lot of other honourable mentions in the books, specifically ones that have been actually released this year. Temptation of the Force by John Jackson Miller. Fantastic book, really, really enjoyable. Had a really, really interesting look at the Jedi Council. Bloodlines, another recommendation, was absolutely fantastic. And just the general High Republic releases have all been very, very good. The Phase 3 releases in this saga that they are documenting at the moment has been really, really, really good. And so we've had The Eye of Darkness as the first adult novel, and there's been a couple of other books that have come out since then. I'm still waiting for Tears of the Nameless, I think it is, to hit Audible, which will be hitting on the day of release for this podcast, so that will probably factor into my next episode quite a bit. And there's also Fear the Nameless as well, which is the young adult novel, which I'm hoping, again, is just going to be delayed on Audible. And it's not like Midnight Horizon from Phase 1, which I'm still waiting to hit UK Audible. Come on, guys. If anyone is listening from Disney or Amazon or Audible, please release that as an Audible. It's available in the US. Please release it here in the UK. It's the one book at this point in time I have not listened to from the High Republic. TV-wise, I've cheated on this a little bit. There's been a lot of stuff released for TV in the last year. No films, no feature-length films as such. So I know the Patterson cuts have just been released for a lot of different things, such as Ahsoka and Book of Boba Fett, and they are also available for things like Revenge of the Sith. I haven't watched them. I don't plan on watching them. I'm happy to consume the product as it's presented. I might dip my toe in at some point because a lot of the editing, it looks absolutely fantastic, but it's very much fan-made at this point in time, in my view, which isn't a bad thing. The fans are what keeps Star Wars going, but obviously off the back of my last episode, I'm not in a great place with the fandom at the moment. There's a lot going on which I do not like. But in terms of TV, it has to be, in the last year, Season 3 of The Bad Batch. For animated, at the very least, it was absolutely fantastic and a great culmination of that story, with enough being left open that they can bring those characters into live action should they want to. And for me, that is... It was just peak Star Wars, really. It was clones, it was Empire, it was... we got Asajj Ventress back. Who saw that coming, given the events of Dark Disciple? Another honourable mention for books, actually. Dark Disciple was really, really good. But yeah, The Bad Batch was absolutely, absolutely fantastic. And I just can't praise it enough, really. Season 1, absolutely phenomenal. Season 2, some people had some issues with, and it wasn't necessarily their favourite. But Season 3, I think, really picked it up and possibly redeemed it for a lot of people. But let me know. Drop me a line on Twitter or on any comment sections or anything like that, wherever you see this video. Let me know what you thought of The Bad Batch and how it progressed through the 3 seasons overall. Mainly focusing on Season 3, obviously, for the purposes of this discussion. But live action, for me, as much as I loved The Acolyte, for me it was Ahsoka this in the last 12 months. And that is very much for the reason of I not only love Ahsoka as a character and what she has gone through and her journey that we've been able to follow from all the way back in 2008 with the Clone Wars movie. Rosario Dawson absolutely nails the character and her portrayal of it. We got to see Hayden Christensen back as Anakin. We get to see Hayden Christensen as Anakin from the Clone Wars. We get to see Captain Rex in live action. We get to see so many things in the world between worlds. And then moving back into the real world, if you want to do it in air quotes, we get to see live action Chopper. We saw Hera. We saw Sabine. We got introduced to Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, who are... Baylan Skoll specifically, absolutely phenomenal character. I didn't really connect with Shin Hati that much. But hopefully in the future projects, we get to see more of her. It was a very cool dual lightsaber battle she had with Sabine. So there's enough there to kind of keep me interested in the character. And where they've left everyone, gearing up for Season 2, getting to see live action Thrawn, getting to see more Night Sisters, Morgan Elsbeth. There's just so much to enjoy and take away from that series. People had issues with it, because of course they did, but it's part of this ever-growing area of Star Wars set 10 years after Return of the Jedi, which is going to be about, 13, 14 years ABY. And it's going to culminate, it's going to continue to grow with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and it's going to culminate in the Dave Filoni movie, which... for the purposes of this conversation, I'm going to dub Heir to the Empire, because it's going to be Thrawn as the big bad. We get to see another galaxy. There's just so much to enjoy and love from that show that I really think we were so lucky to get it. And live action wise, the lightsaber choreography was fantastic. We get to see just Anakin. We got to see Anakin again. I'm so happy. I'm so happy about getting to see Anakin again that I really can't express how much that show has meant to me. The Mortis gods. The thing that I love about Star Wars is the mythology and the mystical element of the Force. We get to see the Mortis gods, and hopefully in the next season we explore that more. And if we get Abeloth, great. If we just get a live action rendition of the father, the daughter and the son, great. I don't care. Just give it to me. I just want more information about the lore and the mystical side of Star Wars. It's so good, and it's really what I love about it. Turning away from that absolute love fest for Ahsoka, the collectible side of things, I've picked up a whole load of different things in the last year. It's been quite varied, as it often is, but I think the thing that's really impacted me the most, and I've got the most joy out of over the last 12 months, is Star Wars Unlimited. The trading card game, I very much looked at it as, it's a Star Wars trading card game. It's something to collect. It's something to enjoy. It's something to really appreciate the artwork of. And I have done all of those things, but I've also been sort of tempted into playing the game as well, and actually learning a bit more about trading card games and how they work. So you can do various different styles of games. So you can do a draft game where you open up one pack, take one card out and cycle it around a group of people, and you all have to build decks out of just picking one card out of a pack. And you just pass it around until it runs out, then you open another one, and so on and so forth. You've got sealed play, where you are given 6 packs, which is what the pre-release events are based on. You're given 6 packs, you open them up, and you have to build a deck out of 30 cards out of those cards that you open, and then you just go and play the game. You have obviously just the standard tournament type play where you build your own deck at home. But there's also like the collectible side of it as well, and I've been lucky enough to pull one of the showcases from Set 1, Spark of the Rebellion, which I've obviously sent off and got graded. There's a YouTube video documenting me opening that grading return. There's just so much to do in the trading card sphere. And going to events and going to trading card shows has been just a joy. It's just been an absolute joy to really sort of see that community. And it's not just Star Wars. There's an awful lot of Pokemon, One Piece, Dragon Ball Super. There's so many different big card games, which is just fantastic. So the range of interest out there and the different types of people within those different communities, they're all great. They're all fantastic. The sellers are great. The collectors are great. I've been to various different trading card shops, and it's mainly, to be honest, been assisted by my son who is 6, getting into Pokemon. And I've been able to introduce the trading card game to him. And that in itself has led him to inquiring about my collection and Star Wars, and that's actually prompted him to start looking into things like Young Jedi Adventures and things like that, which he's always obediently watched with me, but he's never really it's never gripped him like Star Wars has gripped me, and I think that might be an age thing. I didn't really get into Star Wars until I was sort of in and around sort of 10, but if he gets into it, fantastic. If he doesn't, that's also completely fine. Yeah, the trading card world has been very eye-opening to me. I didn't realise how big it was and what a big scene and it has, even it's in the UK. I knew it was very, very big in America, and I knew there was lots of different things like Magic as well as another big trading card game. There's just a big community there, and joining and learning about a community is just absolutely fantastic because they're all so welcoming. They're all so generous with providing information and guidance and how to play the game and things like that. Being able to follow the different sets as they've come out. So we've got the 2 sets which are out at the moment, which is Spark of Rebellion and Shadows of the Galaxy, with Twilight of the Republic being the 3rd set, which is coming out the beginning of November. It's just a way to really keep in touch with people and meet people from all over the country. So I think the trading card game has been my most enjoyed collectible of the year. I would be remiss without mentioning my Funko Pops. I love Funko Pops. They're so much fun, and I love collecting them. I do focus on the Yoda element, Yoda stroke Grogu element of the Funkos in the Star Wars section, but I can expand that out to things like the Luke Skywalker carrying Yoda on his back. But I do also have the Dagobah diorama set from Funko, which I love. I love it. Yoda sitting by his hut is absolutely fantastic to me, and I can't wait to get that open and get that displayed along with the rest of them. Lego as well, obviously focusing on Yoda things. There's been a real limited selection of what I can get coming out, but Lego is just fantastic. It just goes without saying. The models are very, very detailed, very, very intricate, and they're great fun to build. Very, very therapeutic as well to build. I love building Lego, and I wish it wasn't quite as expensive as it is, because I would definitely have a lot more if it was a bit cheaper. But so those are a few little honourable mentions in terms of what I've been collecting over the last year. Event wise, I would say there is only one possible winner for this year, and that has to be the 25th anniversary and re-release of Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace. I know I fell asleep in the cinema watching that film, but just being a part of it and just being able to do a special of the podcast for that and talking to people about the impact Episode 1 had on their lives and as Star Wars fans, it's allowed me to get out into the community a lot more as well, and actually just going to the cinema to see a Star Wars film. I can't wait for the next set of films to come out, because it's such an experience doing that. Going to the cinema, we can watch them all day, every day if we want, on Disney Plus or on DVD or on video or whatever form of media you have it on. It's not the same. It's just not the same as watching it in the cinema with big old thing of popcorn and a big old drink of whatever your preference is. It's just something very special about witnessing Star Wars in the cinema. And Duel of the Fates, I don't need to say anymore. Possibly the second best live action lightsaber duel. My personal favourite is still Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar. But we're not talking about Revenge of the Sith. We might be talking about Revenge of the Sith next year with its 20th anniversary, but we will see. So that's really been my top picks of the year so far. So I'm going to hand over to some of the feedback we've got now, and we'll see what other people have thought. So first up is Brian Klein.
Hey James, Brian here from the Source Pages and Sacred Jedi Text podcasts. Congratulations on 1 year. Seems like you got a hold of this and the hang of this podcasting thing. As you know, I've got a lot of actual physical stuff that I get for Star Wars. I'm a full-on collector, but I think the coolest thing I did was going to see the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary re-release in the theaters with my now wife Liz, because I finally got to see a Star Wars movie in the theaters with the love of my life. Congratulations on the first year, and here's to more years to come.
Thank you very much, Brian. Really, really pleased that we've managed to hit the 1 year anniversary for the podcast, and still think I have a little bit of way to go in terms of learning all the tricks of the trade, but I'm doing my best. Really glad that you enjoyed going to see Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace with your lovely wife Liz. Let us know what you've picked up in the last month or so, and send in some photos for me to be able to possibly share. I have another voice note here from the wonderful Hayley Hobbs.
Hello. This month I have read Beware the Nameless. I read some comics. Thrawn Alliances, the miniseries, because it finally was all on Marvel Unlimited. I read the second issue of Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red, which I remember not loving a ton. And then I read the High Republic Phase 2 main comic line, numbers 7 and 8. And I rewatched The Empire Strikes Back. And then I'd say for my favorite thing in the last year, James is probably tired of this broken record from me, but I just really, really, really loved the book. Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade. I just think it is a really phenomenal entry to the canon, the new canon, and I think everybody should read it. So check it out if you haven't.
That's brilliant, Hayley. Thank you very much. And as you can see, the voice notes are including what people have been up to in the last month, as well as their favourite thing of the year, which is absolutely fantastic. Saves me having to cut and edit. I could cut and edit, but I'm not going to. As with Brian and Star Wars Episode 1 re-release, Rise of the Red Blade is on my list of things as well. So couldn't agree more with you, Hayley. It was an absolutely fantastic book, and anyone who hasn't read it, go read it. It's really, really good. And our final voice note is from Todd, also from the Sacred Jedi Text Jedi Council.
Hello, future James. It's present Todd here. No, I'm not going to try and do a British accent and embarrass myself. But I just wanted to tell you that the most favorite thing Star Wars related that I've done within the past year has to be hands down going to Galaxy's Edge last year in September. I had a great time, though I wish I would have spent some more time there, but that's okay because I plan on going next year. So looking forward to that. And congratulations on 1 year of Universe. May the Force be with you.
Thank you very much, Todd. Galaxy's Edge is somewhere that I am desperate to go, but location and therefore cost is somewhat prohibitive at this time. Turning our attention to other feedback I've received, Dan Griffin at DanGriffin21 on Twitter. And he says, I've just finished Star Wars Rebels, and it has to be that. Specifically Season 3, Episode 15, and Season 4, Episode 10. Both were fantastic TV from an overall brilliant show. Honourable mention to Darth Maul, Black, White and Red 2. Shame there's only 2 issues on Marvel Unlimited. The other 2 issues are coming, Dan, and I would recommend, if you were interested in keeping right up to date with the comics and things like that, then Amazon Kindle, you can buy them digitally as they're released, in line with the hard copy of them as well. So that's what I do. When you're really enjoying a comic series, it's really difficult to have to wait a month for the next one. So sometimes I will read them as they come out. Other times I'll let 2 or 3 build up and then read them at 2 or 3 at a time. So it's there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just another way to potentially consider. Although if you're paying for Marvel Unlimited already, there's no real point possibly looking at paying retail for a digital comic as well. And our final bit of feedback is from Josh Hoyt, who has said that his favourite thing in the past year was going with his son to the theatre to watch The Phantom Menace re-released in theatres. Over the past month, he has also watched Star Wars Lego Rebuild the Galaxy. He's built a number of Lego Star Wars sets. He's collected some Black Series, being Thrawn, Plo Koon, and Commander Fox. He's played the Battlefront game on PS5, and he's obtained the Black Series Darth Vader helmet. Thank you very much for that, Josh. And as always, really appreciate your contributions to the cast. So that's all the feedback I've had this month. Thank you to everyone who has contributed. And if you do want to contribute to the show, keep an eye out on the Twitter for any posts from me. I'm generally asking for either recommendations or what you've been up to in the last month in Star Wars. Speaking of what I've been up to what people have been up to in the last month of Star Wars, I have been up to quite a bit, actually. I wasn't entirely sure how busy I was going to be this month, but in terms of games, I am still playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, but it is waning, it is dying off. I haven't opened the game in the last few days, and I feel bad about it because obviously I've got to know my guild mates very, very well, and you kind of feel like you're letting them down a little bit. I did get the new character Shin Hati, and I've done a bit more on the Gungans, but overall I'm just not really enjoying the game hugely at the moment, which is really disappointing. But as I said earlier on in the show, I have also been playing Fallen Order, and I am very, very pleased to say that in between recording the earlier part of this episode and recording this bit of the episode, I have now completed Fallen Order. So I went through, I beat Malakos, I found the Holocron and saw Trilla's fall. I saw Cal Kestis get knighted by Sera Junde, and at the point I was earlier in the episode when I was recording, I was infiltrating the Fortress Inquisitorius, which is still one of my favourite names of anything in Star Wars to say. And I am pleased to say that I have now finished the game. I did the last 2 boss fights, and it was very tense. And I then did the escape from the Fortress Inquisitorius. One thing that sort of came to mind whilst I was playing it was, I'm not 100% sure when Fallen Order is set, but it would be interesting to know just from a Obi-Wan Kenobi series perspective, just because 2 people breaking into the Fortress Inquisitorius and with quite similar escapes. Maybe it's not that big a fortress after all. Just saying. But no, a fantastic game. Really, really good game. Obviously, it made my list earlier on as one of the highlights of my Star Wars year. If anyone hasn't played it, I would really recommend it. Really, really recommend it. It's absolutely fantastic. Because it's quite an old game now, you can probably get some deals on it. I actually immediately looked at how much Jedi Survivor would be. To buy it digitally, it would still be about £45, which is quite expensive for me, for a game that I'm going to play sporadically over the course of a year. So I will be looking at the physical copy and see if I can get that any cheaper anywhere else. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to continuing Cal Kestis' story. That's a hard sentence to say. And I will obviously keep you updated with my progress as and when I start that, whether that be the book or or actually starting Jedi Survivor. On the collectibles side of things, I picked up a 1996 Star Wars Original Trilogy Tazo collection with folder. It was complete. I picked it up off of the UK app Vinted, which is a second-hand sort of like thrift store type app, and I'm very, very pleased with that. I did do a opening video for that to start a new series on the YouTube channel, so it's just Star Wars Universe, all one word, YOU Universe. Go over there, hit subscribe, and give that one a watch. It was a good fun video to do. It's slightly different from what I've been doing recently, where I've just been obviously uploading the podcast, as well as mainly focusing on Star Wars Unlimited and other Star Wars trading card games. So it was good to sort of expand out into other Star Wars material. I love it. I love the little folder it comes in, and it was really good. I was very, very pleased with the pickup. Looking at Star Wars Unlimited, I am 2 cards away at time of recording from completing the Shadows of the Galaxy base set, and I have 1 more card to show the YouTube channel, but I am also going to a trading card show tomorrow at time of recording on the 29th of September when this podcast is released. It's over in Wembley Box Park, so I will be there and hopefully be able to pick up the 2 cards I'm missing. I'm also on a bit of a Pokemon card hunt for my son. He's given me a selection of cards he would like picked up, so I'll be able to let you guys know how I get on with that and how the show was. That will probably be faster on the YouTube channel, so keep an eye on that. Hit the little bell icon to be notified of when I upload videos. I upload them every week. And I'm just sort of prepping my trade card binder and making sure I've got everything I need in my backpack for the day. And I'll be travelling up to Wembley tomorrow. It's going to be a bit of a painful journey, but hopefully it'll be worth it. It's a new show, I think. It's called Card and Collectibles, and sponsored by Whatnot. We'll give it a go, and we'll see how we get on. Comics-wise, I've actually not been able to really read anything this month. I have picked up the Inquisitorius series, 3rd issue. I've also pre-ordered Darth Vader Volume number 9, which arrived. And I've also got the Kalnaka one-shot to read as well. So I've got a little bit of reading to do. I might try and do some reading on the journey tomorrow, because it's part car, part train. So we will see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to comics. I've missed them, and really hope that I can get back to it and sort of start pushing through a lot of the stuff I picked up in May. To be perfectly honest, I've got through 1 volume of the sort of 2nd main series that is set in between Empire and Jedi. So I've got a lot of Dr. Aphra to read, which I'm really looking forward to getting to. But we'll see what happens, and obviously you guys will be the first to know how I get on and what I think of the content that is being presented. Books wise, I actually stopped the Aftermath book. I was about halfway through and I just wasn't really enjoying it, I'll be honest, and I know a lot of people hold that trilogy in very, very high regard, but I don't know if I was in the right headspace for it at the time, for something so different from what I know I like. So I put it down and I started listening to the Plagueis novel, which is just fantastic. And I finished that, and I've actually stopped that as well at one point, just because I noticed that there were a bunch of the Young Reader comics on the Kindle, or the Audible app, and they were all free. So I picked up and listened to The Battle of Starlight, Showdown at the Fair, Great Jedi Rescue, and also Luke and the Lost Jedi Temple. And they're all around about 10 minutes. I listened at 1.5 speed, so they ended up coming in around about between 5 and 7 minutes. And you just knock them out. They're kind of abridged versions of the main Phase 1 books. And I'm sure Luke and the Lost Jedi Temple is an abridged version of one of the comic runs from the main comic series, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Really, really good, though. And if you want to introduce kids or you to Star Wars, they're really, really good sort of broad stroke books. And I would really recommend them either physically or audio. It's something that I'm probably going to introduce my son to. He likes listening to books and stories. I can introduce my daughter to it as well. Actually, she likes listening to a story before bed, and so I think they're a really good little intro into the universe, alongside obviously the sort of slightly broader storytelling that's in things like Young Jedi Adventures. TV wise, I have watched the first episode of the Lego Rebuild the Galaxy. So far, it's fine, but it's very much episode 1 is very much a setup, and so I am hoping that the rest of it is as bonkers and as mental as it looks in the trailers. I'm very, very much looking forward to exploring that and getting some time to watch some more of that. I do a fairly long commute once a week at the moment, so I can download them onto my tablet and hopefully watch those and chip through those in the next couple of weeks. So that's it for me for this month, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed the last year of me sharing what I've been doing in the Star Wars universe, and I hope you've been able to get some recommendations out of it. As always, hit subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and if you can, leave a review. Obviously, mention Rex or Captain Rex or something within the review, 5 stars, and it will be entered into the giveaway competition for the Captain Rex minifigure. I will either see you on the YouTube channel. Again, if you're over on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to be notified of when I upload episodes. And until the next time, may the Force be with you. Always.